Hello and welcome. So let's just jump right in and tackle a big one, a really controversial idea that I hear all the time. The feeling that doing Agile is, well, slow. It's this weird feeling that actually stops a lot of really great teams from even giving it a shot. But today we're going to pull that idea apart and see if there's any truth to it. This is a real quote I actually heard at a conference, and it just stuck with me. And let's be real, you've probably felt this way too, right? Your team decides, hey, we're going agile. And suddenly, everything gets locked into these rigid 2-week boxes, and it feels like you're actually moving through mud. It's a super common frustration. So that leads to the big question I want to ask you. When we say Agile is slow, are we really talking about the core philosophy of Agile? Or are we talking about something else that's just pretending to be Agile? This is what we're going to get to the bottom of. Okay, so here's the thing. That feeling of slowness, it almost always comes from one huge fundamental misunderstanding. See, people aren't frustrated with Agile itself. They're frustrated with a really rigid, prescriptive method that they think is Agile. Let's clear this whole thing up right now. This right here, this is the source of so much confusion. On one side, you've got Agile. Think of it as a mindset, a philosophy, a set of values. It's all about the why we do things. And on the other side, you have Scrum, which is a specific framework. It's just one way to get things done. It's a how. And here is the absolute key. They are not the same thing, not even close. Let's just go back to the source for a second, the original Agile Manifesto. Look at these values. It's all about people over process, working stuff over tons of paperwork, and, most importantly, responding to change instead of blindly following a plan. You see anything in there that says you must wait 2 weeks to show your work? No. The entire philosophy is built for speed and adaptation. So this is the big reframe we all need to make. The problem isn't Agile. The problem is usually a really stiff, misunderstood, or just plain badly implemented version of Scrum that for a lot of people has become the only definition of Agile they know. And that is a completely different problem to solve. All right, now that we've separated those two ideas, we can go after the biggest offender in this whole mess, that default, unquestioned 2-week sprint. It's time to challenge the so-called rule with some cold, hard facts. So the data is pretty clear. Almost 60% of teams out there are running on 2-week sprints. It has become the standard, the default setting. But here's the question we all need to start asking. Why? Was that an intentional choice your team made to solve a specific problem? Or did you just kind of inherit it because, well, that's just what everyone else does? And here it is, the big reveal, the official Scrum Guide. The actual rule book for Scrum. It explicitly says sprints can be anywhere from 1 week to 1 month long. 2 weeks isn't a rule, it's a choice. And it's a choice that way too many teams are making without even realizing they have other options on the table. And you don't have to take my word for it. Look at this. Jeff Sutherland, the guy who co-created Scrum, his own company uses 1-week sprints to get feedback faster. I know an Agile coach whose team used 2-day sprints to find out where their process was broken. And get this, some teams build actual physical cars using sprints. If a car can be built piece by piece, iteratively, your software definitely can be too. So, if sprint length isn't the holy grail we thought it was, what should we be obsessed with instead? This is where we need to shift the conversation away from arguing about our calendars and start talking about what really matters: true end-to-end delivery speed. Let's just put this out there, bold and clear. The length of your sprint has almost nothing to do with how fast you actually deliver value to your customers. You can have super short 1-week sprints and still take 6 months to release anything. The two are not connected, period. The metric that actually tells the true story is cycle time. Think of it like a stopwatch for your work. From the second a developer types the first line of code to the moment a customer's actually using that feature, how long did that take? That number right there is the real measure of your team's speed. That's your agility. So, how do you actually get faster? It's not by having more meetings to argue about sprint length. You get faster by focusing on these 3 things. Automating every single thing you can, getting incredibly good at slicing big ideas into tiny, valuable pieces, and shipping those pieces the second they're done, not waiting for some ceremony on a calendar. Okay, so this is all great in theory, right? But how do you actually put it into practice? In this last section, we're going to walk through a really simple, actionable plan to help your team find the rhythm that actually works for you. Let's circle back to that original problem. That gut feeling that your team is just slow. Something feels wrong with the process. Instead of just shrugging and accepting it, let's look at some concrete things you can actually explore. Here is a simple, low-risk experiment you could suggest to your team tomorrow. First, just question your cadence, your team's rhythm. Ask, hey, why are our sprints 2 weeks long? Then try 1-week sprints for just 1 month. And measure what happens. Don't just look at velocity. Check in on team morale. See if you're getting better feedback. And here's the golden rule. If the work doesn't fit into the shorter sprint, the goal isn't to make the sprint longer. The goal is to get better at shrinking the work. Now, to be clear, this doesn't mean shorter is always better. The whole point is to be intentional. Shorter sprints, like 1 week, are amazing in chaotic environments where you need that super tight feedback loop. Longer sprints might make sense for teams in a very stable world. The goal isn't to find the one right answer for everybody, it's to find the right rhythm for your team right now. So, we've busted the myth, we've looked at a better way to measure speed, and we've got an action plan. Let's wrap all this up with one final, powerful question to take back with you. At the end of the